One thing you talked about on the show was you always talked about financial freedom.
Yes.
And you talk about that on your
Yeah.
social media too.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little about your financial freedom and how do you help the average everyday woman, the single mom who may be working 2 jobs or who may be, on unemployment right now and trying to figure out her next step? How do you help that woman? Because I think, that a lot of us in Detroit and women in Detroit, like, how do you help that person
Absolutely.
become
No,
financially
that's
free?
good. So let me tell you a little bit about my background, how I got there, because I think that backdrop is important. So I grew up downtown Detroit. My parents were the first African Americans to have a business downtown Detroit called LaGrange Records and Tapes. And they used to have some of all the Motown's best come in, Peebo Bryson, Phyllis Hyman, Minnie Riperton. And I grew up in this, and because they had such a successful chain of record stores, we had an amazing life. I grew up with his and her Rolls Royces, his and her Mercedes,
Okay.
Volvo at 16, housekeepers, cooks, drivers. That was my life. But in 19, we lost everything. And I was devastated because I was like, how do we go from all of this to literally within 6 months having everything repo? And when I started asking my mom a lot of questions, everything she said went back to, your father said this, your father thought this, your father didn't want to do this, your father wanted to do it this way. And this is when I started kind of getting an inkling that my mom was not trusting her financial instinct. Because every woman, every man, everybody, every human being has a financial instinct. The issue is most of us don't cultivate it, right? And so because of this devastation, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to keep living this lifestyle? And at that time, girl, every girl in Detroit, well, not every girl, but the crew I was running with, you wanted a dope boy. It was
Oh my
like
God.
glamorous, child.
Yes.
It was glamorous, girl. So we was going to the club. That's when they had cheeks.
That's back when they actually used to buy you drinks and take you out all night. Now these guys.
Honey, all of that. We
That's
we was going out on the yacht. That's when Porterfield Wilson had his marina on Connor and Jefferson. And
Wow.
So anyway, so we dating. I'm dating a few dope boys. And this one paying for this one paying for that. I mean, we got a racket going almost, right? We're not selling the drugs, but we hanging with the boys that sell it. So of course it was fun and exciting and glamorous at first until the indictments started coming down, the arrests started coming down, the deaths started coming down, the murders. And I remember one that I was dating was a drug kingpin. And I was watching TV and he was dating this other girl in Southfield that owned a nail shop. And some kind of way, the phone would start ringing. I'm watching, oh my gosh, such and such has just been indicted. I'm like, oh, snap. I'm calling them, what's going on? So just that whole drama goes on. So during that drama, I'm like, okay, I'm going to church, Jesus. And I'm going to pray him out. Honest to God, this is my story. I started going to church. Started going to Great Faith Ministries. And about 6 months into that, I realized that was not God's plan for my life.
Wow.
And I had to start asking myself some real questions. Jewel, you went from your daddy taking care of you to men taking care of you. Why can't you take care of yourself? And that's when I changed my major. I was at Michigan State, then I transferred to U of M, changed my major to economics because I said, I got to get this money thing down. I watched my mama suffer. I watched different women in my family, different women just across the board economically. Something happened, death, divorce, sickness, they was wiped out because they knew nothing about the money. As long as the roof and everything was good, they was good. And then I was blessed to be mentored by several multimillionaires in real estate, gold, silver, oil. And so that's what kind of started the whole financial awakening, if you will, and the education. And then I was blessed to be able to partner with Steve Ratton from Steve Soul Food, and we opened up a Nextel franchise. Okay. So that's where I made my first $1 million, right there on Grand River, honey.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And so basically...
So you were already established, not to cut you off, but you were already established before you met your husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. But there was a whole process. So after the dope boy game, then I got serious, graduated from U of M, got married, okay, to a guy that I shouldn't have married in the first place because we didn't have the same core values. So, because I went from one extreme to another. I went from dating all men with money to dating somebody like, okay, Jesus, we just gonna believe God. We just gonna believe
And he
God.
gonna wipe all our problems away.
and at that point, I went to an extreme, and he really didn't have anything, and I didn't care because I was just like, I just want love, you know. And that ended up becoming an issue because when I started making more than him and wanting to progress and grow, he just wanted to play video games and smoke weed, you know, after work. And I'm like, bruh, we need to be going to the business meeting. We need to be making moves. We need to be networking. And he just wasn't about that life. And so he ended up calling one day after 2 years and said, I'm not coming back. And then so there I was again, kind of like financially in a very bad place. But I was smart this time. I stopped putting all our money together because he had horrible spending habits.
Wow.
And so I had to move out of that 2-bedroom apartment and in with my parents. And they lived in Southfield off of 11 Mile and Greenfield. And so I was just like, this is not going to happen anymore. I'm about to educate myself. I'm about to learn money. I'm about to dominate money. I'm about to master money. I'm not going to chase money. Money going to chase me.
Wow.
And so I got pretty intentional about who I was hanging with and my connections, and that kind of brought me into this whole financial space. And now I just want every woman to know, whether she's single or married, whether she's with a successful guy or a blue-collar guy, that I believe that every woman needs to be independently wealthy, because you may have to take care of your children, you may have to take care of your grandchildren, you might have to take care of your parents, your auntie. There's so many responsibilities that fall on a woman, and because of the compassionate hearts that we have, we want to help. But if you broke, you can't help nobody.
Wow. And it's so, one thing you mentioned, like, and I know this in your story, is you didn't get comfortable. A lot of women, especially when they get around men with money, you know, they get comfortable and they lose their identity. So you kind of touched on that a little bit. How were you not able to get comfortable? You know what I'm saying? Because especially with the dope boys back in the day, like I remember, like they buying you cars, they buying you, taking you on trips. You like, and then, you know, most girls have that, so I don't need to work. My man taking care of me. And all I got to do is sit back and shop and go, you know, I mean, now it's a different type of story. They not the same.
Right.
But back then, it was like, what made you say, like, you know what? Like because you didn't know if it wasn't gonna end. You know, you could have been that was every girl. I hate to say it, but every girl in the hood growing up, that was their dream to, you know, to be with a dope boy. I remember, you know, growing up, I used to say that, like, oh, I'm gonna give me a big time dope boy. And it's crazy. I think it was just a Detroit thing.
Maybe Chicago, maybe the big cities,
I think maybe
Detroit,
the Midwest, but
Chicago,
yeah, I would say
New York.
that, and it was like that was the goals, and that's what we glorified. So you wasn't so for you to even, you know, go to college or go to school and start that, like, what made your mindset say, you know what, I need my own too on top of this?
I think watching my parents were definitely the first example for me as being a power couple. They were an amazing couple that they worked together. And I'm gonna have to say this today, I'm very proud of my parents. They do very well today. They moved into Tennessee where we are.
Oh, okay.
10 minutes from us. They own a very successful construction company. But I saw them have an incredible work ethic, 10, 20, 12-hour day. Started success in me independently as a woman.
Wow.
I think even though my mom really more so relied on my dad for money, because you know how you can learn good and what to do from your parents and what not to do. And I think because I saw that in them, and I saw, you know, what happened with my ex-husband, and I just saw so many women. You know, you look at like Eddie Murphy's wife, ex-wife Nicole. She gets like multi-million-dollar settlement, and in just a couple years, it's gone.
Michael Jordan's wife. I mean, you know, that is true.
So I saw all these different examples, and none of these women were paying attention to the money, just the lifestyle. And I said, no, I'm going to pay attention to